Well, we're joined by Dessie Baker now, and Dessie, it's great to see you looking so well during this lockdown. I saw some of those videos you did where you threw the ball off the roof of the house and did your juggling and so on. It was unbelievable.
Listen, trying my best to keep it going as much as I can. I was dislocating kneecap, and I was trying to do all these stuff like dislocating kneecap. And
Wow.
I said I'd do a bit of fun for the kids at home, and then the neighbours, all the kids' neighbours, were out on the road watching me doing it and watching. I only did 2 takes, by the way. It took a while. It took a while. Maybe years ago, probably it only took me 2 takes, but it took me an awful lot longer. But a bit of crack, a bit of fun.
Yeah.
There's not everybody stuck at home at these times, and I'm trying to tell the kids what to do when they're at home. Maybe some little tasks that they can do and keep the kids occupied, and just a bit of fun involved in it as well. You know, I used to do when I was a kid up in Tala.
Yeah.
I used to throw them up onto the roof and just work on my touch all the time. Like, but you know, kids nowadays so stuck into movies and games and stuff like that. That it's just to try to get them out onto the road. Maybe just.
That was really good, really good. Your first control, or your control of the dropping ball off the roof of the house was brilliant. You never lost it.
No, I didn't lose, but I put on the belly. I never lose the touch. That's what most before.
And there was no trick photography. You actually did hit that stuff.
Oh no, no, everything was
no magic.
My daughter was videoing and she was like, "Are we going to finish now or what?" Because I'm bored. Yeah, just one more.
Listen, this 1 to 11 we're going to do with you. Obviously, you played with, a really, really, really great Shelburne team in the early noughties. You played with some very good players at Longford. You obviously were in the league-winning team with Shamrock Rovers. Had a spell with Dundalk where you won the first division as well. So you've played with a lot of good players in the league. So it's going to be interesting to see how you fare with this 1 to 11. Will we start with the goalie then?
Yeah, Con, it was very hard for me because, as you know, we've been playing. I think I played 12 or 13 years in the league, and it was, as you said, the early 90s when the top range players were playing in those days. And then I moved into the professional era, as you say, the last couple of years, and I got to play with both spectrums of players, and trying to pick 11 was nearly impossible for me. And as you said, I played with some great players at every club, and I was fortunate enough. I base my team on players that have gone on to win stuff, because nowadays you see these best players or best squads, and they're just picking some of their friends and stuff like that. I'd rather pick on talent and actually they won stuff in their career, because a lot of players that have played it as well might have only played for 1 or 2 years and you don't see them again. That wouldn't class me as one of the best players that you play with. You probably have to be consistent over a couple of years and look at their medal trophy at the end of it as well, like to see exactly what they achieved in football. So in that way, it was very hard for me to pick 11. As you said, the Shells years were great. I won 2 cups at Longford, then I went to loan, won a league at Dundalk, and then came back and obviously had that great time at Rovers with some great players there as well. So it was hard. But, I know I'll probably disappoint a few people, but at the end of the day, it's what I think. I think my best players were, In goal was quite easy for me. In fact, actually, it was one of the easier positions. It was Alan Mannis, obviously at Rovers. I think he was just an athlete. Actually, for me to say that about a goalkeeper, it's just unbelievable. His professionalism on the pitch. He was so loud on the pitch. He was a dictator. He was pulling all sorts of saves out for us that year, and it's just his presence in goal. It was brilliant for us, And Goffey might miss out, and Steve Williams might miss out the years at Shelburne, but unfortunately, I went for Manus because I just think he was just that bit different than the rest of them,
Yeah, it's amazing how many people I've spoken to now who played with him, and everybody says the exact same thing. Total, utter professional, on and off the field. Great info. I was talking to Ryan Thompson this week, and he was saying that when he came to the club, like, Alan was so good to him and brought him on, and nobody has a bad word to say about him.
No, he's a nice lad, and the lads will tell you stories when they lived in the house with him that his food, he used to have his food in the fridge, and it was 3 times, 5 times, 6 times a day, whatever time he ate, and somebody might have had something on him, he'd go mad at them. Twiggy used to just slaughter and just hide stuff on him, just to wind him up and all. But that's the sort of professional that he was off the pitch. He looked at. He even looks as fit now as he did when I played him 9 years ago. That's a total achievement for himself.
Still going strong. Right back then, number 2.
Right back for me was between 2 players. The legend was Greg Costello. Played with my Shells. Great on the ball, great footballer. Loved getting forward, good defender. Won an awful lot with him. Great lad on and off the pitch. But I went for Owen Heary. Owen Heary he went on to win loads of league trophies and FAI Cups and stuff like that. And he's a solid defender. Just every game he's guaranteed an 8 out of 10 for you. He's just Mr. Consistency up and down the wing, fit. Well able to pass the ball when he could as well. But also he was able to get back into shape as quick as possible. And so Owen just edged out Greg for me in that way.
Yeah, well, going with that criteria that you were talking about at the beginning as well, fellas who won medals. He was a constant winner no matter where he went, I think.
Yeah, that was a big thing for us as well. Like, you go to one club, you win something. You go to another club, you win something. That for me is the presence of a quality player. Like, I was fortunate enough, as you said there, I was fortunate enough to play with all these great players. But the most important thing for me was winning. And every club to this day that I played with, I won something. Like, I won something that, obviously I won a lot of Shells. Then I went to Longford, won the cup. Then I went on loan to Dundalk, won a trophy there. Then I go to Rovers, win a trophy there. So I've been fortunate enough to say that whenever I went somewhere, I achieved what I wanted to do, and that was to win something with that club. And Owen Heary is just an example of that.
Yeah. Okay, so that's Owen Heary at right back. Left back, number 3?
Now, this was the hardest position for me. And it's still like, even before the phone call, I'm trying to figure out who this would be. There's 3 players: Declan Gagan, Sean Dillon, and Enda Stevens. Now, for me, at the end of it, it was Enda. I know I only played one season with him, but what he's gone on to achieve in his career, and I knew that year there was something special about him when he was playing left back. He was quality for us that year. He was unreal. He was up and down that wing. His quality. You see it now in the Premiership. His attacking ability, his defending, his strength, fitness. He had everything. He was a quality player. Like, Declan was so close, and then the likes of Sean Dillon at Longford, like Mr. Professional. He was up and down, quality, always prepared right, always trained right, always all the same as Declan. Mr. Consistency, we used to call him as well, guaranteed an 8 out of 10 every match. It's just unfortunate that it was such a good year at Rovers with Enda, and you could see the quality that he has, and it was just a matter of time before he went away. And then to achieve what he's done, where he's at Sheffield now, it's just fantastic for Ireland and stuff like that. You can't leave a left back out like that. Like,
yeah, even some of the goals he scored for Sheffield have been, crackers.
Yeah, but that's it. Like, nowadays the fullbacks, they have to do everything, and you could see that with Enda. I wouldn't see Declan scoring 30 yarders. I wouldn't see Dillo. Dillo did actually score 1 or 2 crackers in his time, but when you do it at the highest level, that's when you know your class.
And then I presume, is it 2 centre halves? Are you going with
2 centre halves? I've gone for 4: a goalkeeper, back 4, a holding 2, an attacking 2, and a front 2. I'm an attacking player, like I'm an attacking coach, so I go that way. Yeah, so I'm centre half. Before centre half might shock a few people, but for me, when I played against this player, he was one of the toughest opponents to play against, and he was such a good reader. Wasn't the quickest centre half, but my God, could he defend and could he read stuff? And a funny story: Peter Hutton, the player is, sorry, just to go any further. Peter Hutton.
Very good.
Peter came to us. I think it was in 2001. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was 2001-2002 season at Shells.
Yeah.
And he'd won the league for Derry, I think 5 years before that, and he was coming to the end of his career. And I remember I was only a young lad, and he probably thought I was a right old, I can't say in Campbell, but probably thought I was a right old Charlie bastard. And he said to me, I walked in and I said, Jesus, I'm delighted you signed for us. And he says, yeah. He said, I really want to win the league again. And I was like, well, I'll win it for you this year. This Charlie little boy saying, I'll win it for you. But I was so delighted that Peter was signing for us, because I played against him so many times against Derry, and he was such a good player. And then to have him on your team, for me, it was a great buzz. Like, when you sign when players.
Not the tallest centre half, I'd say.
No, not the tallest, but he was brave. He's thrown himself in front of everything. Great organiser. Organiser at the back of Derry. You see him when you're playing against him. Drop in here, pull. He had everybody, a bit like Van Dijk at Liverpool. Just, he makes any player beside him look like a good defender. And for me, that's, he won an awful lot in his career as well. He won 2 league titles. I think he won unbelievable amount of cups, League Cups and FAI Cups and stuff like that before, but he really wanted to win that league, and he came to us, I think, just to do that, and he did. And I think he left us after that, a year after, at the end of that year, but he was fantastic to play with.
Kind of reminded me a bit of some of the older Rovers fans will remember when Johnny Fulham played centre half for Rovers, and Johnny was a great centre half, just read the game brilliantly, but he wasn't tall by any means, just really clever, and played.
He had that presence, he has that presence, and I don't think you don't have to be 6'2" to have that. I think it's just when you're playing against, you're in for a battle, and I think that's the main thing. Like, who
partners him at the back then?
That was the hardest one for me. I've did this before, and I never really looked into. I never thought about it as much. I was put on the spot one time when I was doing this, and I was put into a magazine. So I got a bit of time off yourself, Con, to think about this. And more I thought about it, this was probably the hardest second centre half. Pat Scully, Craig Sivis, and Mick Neville. And I went for Mick Neville in the end. I know Pat was a great leader for us at the time of Shell. We won an awful lot. And Craig was brilliant for Rovers that year. He impressed me. It's hard to come into a club like that and demand and have the demands like that of a club like Rovers and be able to deal with it, as the way he did. But for me, Mick Neville, like, when I first went into the club, I'd heard an awful lot about him, and you play beside him, he talked to you off the pitch, he talked to you onto the pitch. I could just imagine him and Peter playing together. I mean, I don't think Ant would have got past him, because Mick was an unbelievable player. Unbelievable player. He could ping a ball 50 yards as well, which was great. He was great in the air. He wasn't the quickest when I was playing with him near the end of his career, but he read the game so well, and he was so good great captain off the pitch. He'd talk to you. When I came back from England, he was great talking to me and stuff like that, So Mick just edged ahead of Pat. Pat was great centre half, played for Ireland. Obviously, he got his Ireland cap, but Mick was that different class, and I partnered two of them together. I think nobody would have got past him.
Yeah, and again, a great winner. I mean, Mick was, I know, as you say, he was kind of one of the elder lemons by the time you were playing with him, but the spell he had, with Shamrock Rovers and Derry and so on, he was a winner again throughout his career. Again,
yeah, that's what I looked at. And I look for winners. Like, that's what I said it at the start. I like to think myself as a winner. And when I played as a winner, I always wanted to win. And I look for that when I'm playing against with your teammates. I always found, like, sometimes I might have been in the greatest team, but you had 15 players or 16 players of the squad who wanted to win. And that's important for me. And as I said, Mick won an awful lot as well, as you said, and he played for an awful lot of clubs, and he had that respect everywhere he went. I think players nowadays still talk about these players. Like, so, I keep going back to the team so far, and mostly going back, but you couldn't. Those teams years ago were different class. Like, players were different class.
It's a good-looking defence. You've two holders then on front of the defence, yeah?
I have two holders. My first one is Pat Fenlon when I was at Shells. Pat was a little terrier, workhorse, well able to get up and down the field, small and in stature, but able to see a pass, always had time and space. Pick a pass, as I said, people made runs, he was able to pick them out from anywhere. And he had that little nastiness to him that you need. He was able to get right into people and upset people and break stuff down against other teams. But he was a great little player. Great time for Pat. Obviously, we didn't end in the good terms at Shells, but at the end of the day, basing this on players that we played. Another one who's won an awful lot. Anywhere he went up to Lingfield, won up there, went Shells, won all that stuff at Shells, went to Rovers, played all these big clubs again. And again, you base these players on longevity, how many years they played in the league as well. And the players that I mentioned so far, except for Enda, obviously only played 2 or 3 years, but other than that, nearly every player had over 250 appearances.
I would have always thought of him as a more kind of Wes Hoolan type creative. I know he had that little tough streak in him as well, but so I'm a bit surprised that you have him in that kind of holding role. But I suppose it's kind of the quarterback role as well, pinging passes.
Well, that's it. You'll know the reason why I have him in there now if you're with us. But for me, if you want to start stuff from the back, he would play it for me. He could go in and get it off the centre halves, play into these dangerous areas, and he's well able to do that. And as I said, he always had that little nastiness, like nutty little nastiness. He'd go in and he'd rat, and he'd 50-50s. He mostly come out with the ball. He was a little rat around the pitch, like.
Yeah. So he's there, and the other sort of holding fielder.
The other one was quite hard, actually. I went for, it was between Robbo and Paul Doolan. And I know the two of them are really good friends. But Dooley just got there ahead of Robbo because of Dooley's reputation of medals and his longevity and his bossing around with another player who was nasty. He didn't look it, but he was nasty. He was nasty in training. He was nasty in the matches. And again, another player who was coming to the end of his career when I was starting up, but he read the game so well. He broke so many stuff up against other teams. Great organizer on the pitch, able to tell people all over the park where they had to be, when they had to cover, when they get forward. The tight games were there. He'd talk you through it. Listen, we killed this game. He had all these little different tactics, and he was a great talker on the pitch. And him, I think, beside Pat, the two of them sitting there doing that holding role, I think it's, I don't think there's many better than that,
Yeah. I was kind of thinking Paul would almost be the closest to Roy Keane in a League of Ireland sense, even personality-wise and everything. Total winner, total focus on winning.
Yeah, total winner. But again, he did exactly like Roy Keane did. He did the simple ball every time. He knew he hadn't got a 40-yard pass in his locker. He knew he hadn't got it. He knew he couldn't sprint in behind players, but he had the brain and the football brain, most importantly, just to get it and play it. And that's why I say him and Pat wouldn't work out well. He'd just break it up, slide it to Pat, and then Pat would start everything for us. And, as record spoke for himself, Paul, and I know he changed himself. And you I know Robbo would be unfortunate. Robbo played on the right side of midfield with me a few times, and when he moved in midfield, he was one of those little terriers as well, and he could sit beside Pat. He would be another person who could have done that. He could have broke up all that. He's seen it from Rovers when we played at Rovers. He was nasty. He was nasty when he had to be. Another box-to-box midfielder like Pat would have been a bit similar to that, but Robbo just missed out because I've played so many years with Dooley and won so much that with him.
Yeah. You have two advanced midfielders then.
Now, this is why I put Pat back, because for me this player was a big part of my career. Probably doesn't know it as much as I never really told him. And you train with this fella and you just get better. He was one of those players that, wasn't the greatest trainer, wasn't the greatest pro, but when it came to kickoff, Shero was just on a different level. Like, you can't explain these sort of players until you play with them. And I base some of my stuff around him, what he did in training, how he reacted off the field.
This is Tony Sheridan from Shelburne
Tony
days.
Sheridan, yeah, Shelburne days. Like, he was so strong. No one realised how strong he was. Such an intelligent footballer. You'd have to give him a free role in that area up there, and you need the likes of Dooley and Nutsy sitting there in front behind him, so he could just go off, because he was 3 steps ahead of everybody else in his brain, football brain. He could see, not only that, he could see the pass, he could play the pass. You make him run, he'll find you. And he was so strong in training, grumpy in training, grumpy before matches. If he didn't get his way, that was Tony's thing, his attitude. He's real laid back. Like, stories I could say, I pick him up. I go to pick him up for training and matches, and I pick him up in my car. I beep outside in Green Hills, and Tony would walk down, and he'd have the old. Do you remember the old Duns bag, the paper bag with the green bit of Duns on it?
Yeah.
Tony turned up, and his boots would be in shin pads would be in it, and he had the Duns bag wrapped around in his finger, and he'd have it over his shoulder walking down the step, and then he'd go out, and I'd be like, have a smoke in his mouth, in his hand, smoking as he's getting into the car, throw it away. And then match time, it was like a switch. It just turned her on, and you knew Tony was there. And he was a wand. He played in Coventry. He had so much respect in England. And then he came, and then I seen him in training. Just his whole mentality, I used to look at and go, geez, he's a player. He's a player.
Yeah.
I don't think
I've seen him play on the continent. I thought his game suited continental football, actually.
Without a shadow of a doubt. You put him in any team, and you'd have a chance of winning a game or a league or something. He was that good, like.
That goal, the one at Lansdowne Road,
unbelievable.
Volley.
But that's you see that in match days, but he did that in training nearly all the time. That's what you're going to. You become. I think when you train with these players, you become a better player. And I became a better player because I trained with these other players. You know, you learn so much off them. You learn the little flicks, tricks. And you learn their vision, how they see things, what way they train, stuff like that. I know he wasn't a great trainer, but my God, the stuff that he did in training was just incredible.
So that's Tony Sheridan, and your other sort of advanced midfielder?
It had to be Wes Houlihan. Had to be, because he came from 2001 to Shells and he was there for 4 years with me. And Wezzo was one of these players that you knew what he was going to do and you could do nothing about it. Again, another player that probably didn't train right and didn't play right and wasn't the greatest pro in the world before he went to England. Believe that since he went over to England, he was unbelievable. He just changed like this and he became a total professional. But again, it was another one of those where it's probably the plastic bag and the boots still ref on Friday night. Yeah. And he'd go out on Saturday night and just take the piss. He was so technically so good. Again, another player with, that's what I'm saying, with the two boys in front, the vision that they had between the two of them if they played together, and the movement that they'd have. Wezzo would drop into little pockets, clever like that, drop into little pockets, find little sockets, and then slide little balls through into whoever he was playing with. Like, and to have that vision and that talent was, you knew there was something special there. And again, he goes on to achieve so much things in football and play for Ireland and stuff like that. Like, it's just, he was a joy to play with, you know.
I wonder if we had had another manager other than Trapattoni, would Wes have had more international caps? Because it just seemed like he missed so many games that maybe we could have done with him on the international scene.
Most definitely. Like, I think like he should have got more time. He should have got more time on the pitch. He didn't get enough time on the pitch for me. Like, you look for in games, big games like that, you look for these quality players with wands or magicians, whatever they want to call it, as feet. And you look for these players to break defences down, because you don't get many chances at international level to do that. Yeah. And we are so, like, we were calling out for Wesley for so many years. We had the opportunity to put him in early doors. He was unbelievable over there. He was in the Premier League. He was doing it every week. Yeah. And yet when it comes to the Ireland team, he was sitting on the bench or sitting in the stand or not being involved. It's just, it was wrong. It was totally wrong. I think when they look back on that, they'll say, yeah, we made a mistake there.
Yeah, I agree. Look, I'm loving the look of this team. You have two more players to fit in up. So who are they going to be?
Well, the first one has to be, without a shadow of doubt, Stephen Gagan for me. Again, you want somebody to score goals. Stephen did it. But it wasn't only that what Stephen had. Stephen was strong. I know he wasn't the quickest to get into the champ, but he was clever. He was a clever striker. I'd call him clever. Inside areas, he just gets that half yard. You put the ball I played on the right side of midfield, and you just put balls into the box and he was scoring. His finishing was phenomenal. I think he was close. Don't know what he did. He got called up for Ireland actually one time in the squad.
Was it out against Greece or somewhere like that, yeah?
Yeah, he went away. I remember him going away, and I remember at the time he was on fire for us. Absolutely on fire. And, you know, great lad off the pitch. Him and Declan, two characters. We had two sets of brothers, obviously, with the Gagans and myself and Richie. We had an unbelievable squad that time, and Declan was so unfortunate not to get into this because he was quality. But Stephen, you can't leave Stephen out. His all-round play, his hold of play was brilliant for a striker. He used to play up there in Europe on his own and hold the ball up, run channels. He wasn't, as I said, he wasn't the quickest running into the channels, but in between centre halves and full backs, that little 5-6 yarders to get that half yard. And his heading, he was good in the air. He had everything. It wasn't just about goals with Stephen. People might think it was, but his record in the league and what he achieved as a player, it's just, you can't leave a player like that out.
Of course, before he went to Shells, he was part of that Rovers league winning team at the RDS and a key member of the team, top scorer that season. And again,
and I know he loved it. I know he loved that Rovers, and he was a great talker, Stephen. I'd room a few times and he'd tell you these little things that to look up for and what he enjoyed playing, and you know who he enjoyed playing with. He loved playing with Cheryl. The two of them had a little link together. But you know, he was just a good lad. He's a really good lad. Great character off the pitch. You know, I probably met him a few times. He's a great character. Yeah. And again, probably wouldn't have been the greatest pro in the world, but it doesn't matter. It didn't matter because at that time, don't think anybody was in the league. You know, it was just a part-time basis league. But you look back, if the league had been pro that as a professional as it is now, there would have been so much better players going away. Like many players in that Shells team would have gone to England nowadays if they had been professional like that. You know, so you have to look back at that and say, unbelievable. Like,
yeah. So listen, there's only one more place to be filled. Who's it going to be?
Well, it definitely has to be Twiggy. Like, you know,
oh, jeez, thank God. Relief.
It has to be Twiggy. Yeah, it has to be Twiggy. But, you know, as I said, I remember Michael saying to the lads, I'm going to sign this striker and he's going to run the challenge for it. He's going to play beside Des. He's going to be really quick and stuff like that. And the two of them are going to link up well. And Twiggy came into training and he was running and he sprinted around. Like, he's not that quick, lads. He's not that quick. He's not going to run challenge for us. Like, so we're like, what's going on here, you know? But the two of us just gelled straight away.
Yeah.
I played that little deep role, dropping into pockets, which I thought I was quite good at. And I was able to see movements from him. You see it in training, what he's like. Just wanted to score goals.
Yeah.
What can you say about Twiggy that you don't already know? He's quality in the air. As I think Gartha was saying it during the week, it wasn't just about goals of Twiggy. It was his all-around plays, holding plays, his stuff. You know, he used to run. He was sharp over 5 or 6 yards. But most importantly, as the two strikers that I have up there, they scored goals. And if you're playing with a team like that, and you have like Wesley and you have Sherrow in behind, imagine the goals that they're going to score. Like the obvious was, I didn't get to play Jason. I didn't get to play with Glenn Crowe. Didn't get to play with them for a long time because I was coming to the end of my Shells career.
Yeah.
And I was out injured with my cruciate. So without the obvious of those players, and Pat Morley obviously at Shells was another all-time, he's in the top with 20 top goal scorers.
Yeah.
And then one more that I left out that I put in my last team that I did was Dave Mooney. Like, Dave Mooney was a quality striker. Unbelievable. We had a great year up in Longford. He scored loads of goals. We had a great little partnership there again, but you can't leave the likes. He has a great career. He went away to England. He's done really well. That was probably he was the third behind Gago and Twiggy. He was definitely the next man in.
Mm.
But you can't leave the likes of those two players out because of what they achieved. Twiggy in the short term in his league here, and obviously Stephen what he achieved when he played. So you know, it's a hard team to put anybody else into because
that's a brilliant
there's so
looking
many
team.
Players.
Yeah, Alan Manus, back four of Owen Heary, Peter Hutton, Mick Neville, and Enda Stevens. Pat Fenlon and Paul Doolan in front of them. Tony Sheridan and Wes Houlihan. And Stephen Gagan and Twiggy up front. I mean, it's an unbelievable 1 to 11. If you were to throw a captain in there, Dessie?
Oh, it'd be Peter Hutton. Peter Hutton for me. I think he's a great leader. Peter Hutton or Mick Neville. I always like my captains to be a centre half in a team because they can see everything, and I like to see that. But like Peter, when he came, he was just a leader. He was a bit, as I said at the start, he was like Van Dijk. He just organises everything around him. Everybody knew where to be, and even if he wasn't in the right position, he'd have somebody else covering him. He was that sort of player. Yeah. So for me, it'd be definitely Peter Hunt.
Well, listen, Dessie, it's great talking to you. You'll be back coaching the young lads soon, hopefully, will you?
Yeah, hopefully we'll be back now in the next couple of weeks, please God. You know, the lads are working hard there. We all have our little groups. They're all doing their individual training, sending in their videos and working hard, you know. But as I said to the lads, they have to do this. If they want to make it in life or make it in football, they have to put the effort into now. And this is a little tester for them now to see if they really want that. And you know, you see the lads there now, they're sending in videos and they're working hard, working as hard as they can do, you know, and that's a good sign that they're all like that at the minute. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, if they're not going to work hard in these times, in these times, well, then they're not going to get for a big shock when they want to go across to England.
Sure. Okay. Well, look, Dessie, it's great seeing you again.
And you, bud.
Wonderful, wonderful days around 2010, and that picture behind me of the celebrations out in Bray.
Special night.
And the fans loved you, and they loved Twiggy as a pair up front. You know, the song and everything. I think any player who has a song sung for them by the fans is always a bit special, you know. So
I was watching a video there yesterday. Somebody sent me a video of me hat trick against Derry for Longford, and then I seen a video. Somebody else sent me a video. Then it was a Rovers fan who sent me a video back. Don't remember these. Remember these days. My first goal for Rovers against Bray in Talga Park. And it was the first rush I got with the fans when I went over to that corner over there. It was just, from then on, it was just like, wow, this is unbelievable. Because for years, Rovers fans used to slaughter me, absolutely slaughter me. But it was totally different. You go to a club like that, and you get the way I was treated by those fans there. It was just, you know, it was unbelievable. And to do what, look, you see fans now walking down the street when you go to matches and all, they're just like, wow, Dessie, how are you? How's things? Like, it's just, that was sort of relationship that we had with I had with the fans especially, and it was special. The time at Rovers is special. As you said at the start, I had so many great years at Shells and had great times at Longford, and you know, you keep going back to this Rovers thing. Everybody keeps going back. It's just, it was a special year, a special 2 years, especially after when Mick took over. It was just unbelievable for me, and I'll never forget them. You know, it's hard to remember. Like, you think, when it's great when you do these sort of things and you look back of all the stuff that you achieved, but like the players that you play with, the players I played with, they're like, that's only some of them. Like, you got like Mark Rutherford, you got Ollie Cattle, who could have easily flotted into that team if I had been playing wingers. You got my brother Richie, you know, you got all these different players that could have been in that team, but you
actually could have picked a second team that would have been probably not quite as strong as this, but right up there, like really.
Oh, most definitely, yeah, most definitely. But you know, they're the ones that, as I said at the start of the whole video, that you look back and say, listen, they achieved so much in their career. They weren't in the league for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
they were there for 10 years, 9 years, 8 years, wherever it was, and wherever they went, they won something. You know, which is important to me.
A good message for the kids as well. Dessie, listen, hopefully we'll see you in Tallaght soon. Please God, fingers crossed.
Yeah, hopefully we're all back soon. Yeah,
really appreciate it. Thanks very much indeed. Take it easy.
See you, Con.
See ya. Take care. Bye bye.